Hello everybody, this is Armstrong Sports here, back again with another video today. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be discussing my picks for the first round of the 2020 NHL playoffs, including the round robin. Thank you and enjoy. Starting off in the round robin, we have the first seed Boston Bruins, the second seed Washington Capitals, third seed Tampa Bay Lightning, and fourth seed Philadelphia Flyers, facing off for a chance to get the first, second, third, and fourth seed in that conference. Starting off, I have the Boston Bruins winning all three matches against the Lightning, the Flyers, and the Washington Capitals. I have the Tampa Bay Lightning taking the win against Philly. I have the Philadelphia Flyers taking an extra win against the Washington Capitals. And I have the Washington Capitals taking out the Tampa Bay Lightning. For Tampa Bay, 1-2, Philly 1-2, and Washington Capitals 1-2. After looking at each team's regular season winning percentage, we are able to find out the seeds, which is Boston, the first seed, Tampa Bay Lightning, second seed, Washington Capitals, third seed, and the Philadelphia Flyers in the fourth seed. Now we move on with the first seed, St. Louis Blues, second seed, Colorado Avalanche, third seed, Vegas Golden Knights, and the fourth seed, Dallas Stars, facing off in yet another round robin. I have the St. Louis Blues defeating all three teams in a 3-0 manner. The Stars, Knights, and the Avalanche. I have the Colorado Avalanche defeating the Vegas Golden Knights, but losing to Dallas and St. Louis to go 1-2. I have the Vegas Golden Knights beating the Dallas Stars, but losing to the St. Louis Blues and the Colorado Avalanche. I have the Dallas Stars losing to the Vegas Golden Knights and the St. Louis Blues, but taking a win over the Colorado Avalanche. Which, after finishing off the tiebreakers with win percentages from the NHL regular season, I have the first seed going to the St. Louis Blues, second seed going to the Colorado Avalanche, third seed going to the Vegas Golden Knights, and the fourth seed going to the Dallas Stars. Moving on to the qualifying matches, starting off in the Eastern Conference, we have the 8th seed Toronto Maple Leafs facing off against the 9th seed Columbus Blue Jackets. Now this is going to be a really good matchup. Like, you have Columbus, a very talented defensive team, great coach, and great up-and-coming goaltending. And then you have the Toronto Maple Leafs, a stellar defense, specifically what I believe are three great lines that are all capable of putting up production game on and game out for this team. However, definitely a very questionable defense, which could spell some serious issues for this team. And also a goaltender in Freddie Anderson, who has not been as good as he usually is. He's definitely had an off year. But with this being his contract year, it's either do or die for him, and I think that could potentially bring out some killer instinct in Anderson that we haven't seen before. However, I will say in the Montreal matchup that I watched last night, he did not exactly look the best. So in this matchup, I will have the Toronto Maple Leafs defeating the Columbus Blue Jackets 3-1 in a best-of-5 series. I think Toronto, even though Columbus will spell some serious issues for Toronto, and I think Toronto will have a bit of turnover issues against this Columbus forecheck, I think Toronto will be able to score their way out of the majority of situations, and I think Anderson will find a way to get the best of Korpisalo or Muslinki, depending on who plays. I think Toronto will get this win here. However, it will be close. Trust me on that. Moving on to the next matchup, the 6th seed Carolina Hurricanes facing off against the 11th seed New York Rangers. Now, this is going to be a matchup that a lot of people should watch. I mean, looking at the seeds, a lot of people would expect this to be very close, but the Rangers will be definitely coming on in the back half of the year. They have a great 1-2 punch in the forward core in Zibanejad and Panarin. They have a great up-and-coming goaltender in Shesterkin, and an up-and-coming young defense piloted by Adam Fox and Jacob Trouba. Where on the opposite side of the spectrum, you have the Carolina Hurricanes with good goaltending in Peter Mrazek, a pretty good defense. Even if Dougie Hamilton doesn't play, I think that defense will still cause some troubles for that Rangers offense. As far as the forward line goes, I have some serious trust in this Carolina offense. I think that they will not only find a way to keep up with the Rangers, but also maybe outscore them in the majority of games. I think that if the Rangers want to punch in Panarin and Zibanejad score, I think this will be score on a daily basis for this team. I think there would be there could definitely be an upset here. However, I can't see them being able to have that much fun against this rock-solid Carolina defense, even without Dougie Hamilton. I do think Shesterkin will cause some issues for this Carolina Hurricanes offense, but I think they have enough depth to be able to live through that, where the Rangers really don't have that much depth. As far as scoring defensively, I think the Rangers will have a little bit better of a chance with Adam Fox and Jacob Trouba, but Carolina will be able to get the better half of the Rangers defense as a defensive standpoint goes. I have the Carolina Hurricanes beating the New York Rangers 3-2. Moving on to the next matchup, the 5th seed Pittsburgh Penguins facing off against the 12th seed Montreal Canadiens. I'm going to be completely honest here, I don't think the Canadiens stand that much of a chance. I mean, I think if Montreal's forecheck does come through, and I think if Carey Price plays well, there could definitely be a potential upset here. Carey Price is 100% the X factor for Montreal. If he plays the way that he used to play, the way that everyone knows that he can play, I think Pittsburgh will have a serious problem scoring against him. As far as a defensive standpoint goes, I think defensively, Montreal should be able to get the better half of Pittsburgh. They pressure well on the forecheck, they pressure well on the power play, which will be an issue for Pittsburgh to get their power play going, I think. As far as a goaltending standpoint goes, Carey Price versus Matt Murray. Carey Price has not had the most stellar of seasons for himself, but I think he will be able to get the better half of Matt Murray. Despite that, I think Pittsburgh's forward line will be able to score against Carey Price a lot more than Montreal's forwards will be able to against Matt Murray. So I have the Pittsburgh Penguins taking out the Montreal Canadiens 3-1. Moving on to the final matchup in the Eastern Conference qualifying round, we have the New York Islanders 7th seed facing off against the Florida Panthers 10th seed. Now this is going to be a really good matchup. The Florida Panthers were really coming on at the back end of the year. They were even pressuring the Toronto Maple Leafs for a potential top 3 spot in the standings. Versus the Islanders team with great coaching, great defense, but kind of questionable forward scoring line, who did not finish with the best record. I believe they lost like 7 straight, or was it 6 straight to end the year. Did not have the best back end at the end of the year. However, with Trotz sitting in the coaching position, I think he will be able to shut down the forwards and the attack for Florida pretty well. I think that in the playoffs, coaching definitely plays a big part. And that's something where the Islanders could just completely outclass the Florida Panthers. As far as a goaltending standpoint goes, Sergei Bobrovsky for the Florida Panthers has not had the best of years. I think he has definitely struggled, to say the least. As far as the Islanders go, Semyon Varlamov has had a pretty great year for the Islanders, I'm going to be honest. When I heard that they were getting him off of Colorado, I was not expecting for him to have the best of seasons, but he surprised me. He's looked pretty good for the Islanders. Do I think he'll have what it takes to outclass Sergei Bobrovsky, a guy who tends to come on in the playoffs? I think that'll be a pretty good matchup for sure. I think Sergei Bobrovsky will get the better half of Varlamov the majority of the time, though. As far as forwards go, Florida does not have the best defense, where Islanders have a stellar defense, especially with that coaching, and a pretty good defensive line on paper. I think that the Islanders will be able to barely smudge out the Florida Panthers 3-2. The main reason for this is similar to the Pittsburgh and Montreal game. I just don't really trust in this Florida offense to score against Semyon Varlamov the same way I trust this Islanders defense to do so against Bobrovsky. So I think the Islanders will be able to win from an offensive standpoint. That means in the East, the seeds will play out as 1st Boston, 2nd Tampa, 3rd Washington, 4th Philadelphia, 5th Pittsburgh Penguins, 6th Carolina Hurricanes, 7th New York Islanders, and 8th Toronto Maple Leafs. Moving on to the qualifying rounds in the Western Conference, we have the 8th seed Calgary Flames facing off against the 9th seed Winnipeg Jets. This is going to be a very good matchup, to say the least. Calgary just played against Edmonton last night, and they did lose in a 4-1 fashion, but I think that Calgary definitely does show some potential in a playoff standpoint. They have a great defense on paper. Their offense, definitely pretty stellar. I think specifically the top two lines. However, they aren't exactly balanced from a scoring standpoint goes, at least in my opinion. From a goaltending standpoint, Cam Talbot, definitely not that good of a goaltender. I don't trust him in a playoff scenario. However, on the opposite side of the spectrum, the Winnipeg Jets have Connor Hellebuyck. Connor Hellebuyck, I think, definitely outclasses Cam Talbot from a goaltending standpoint goes. Now, don't get me wrong, Talbot's okay, and I think he can, at times, maybe keep up with Hellebuyck, but Hellebuyck will get the better half in the end. As far as an offensive standpoint goes, Calgary versus Winnipeg, I think Winnipeg will definitely get the better half of Calgary in the majority of scenarios. They just have way more power on the front, and I think they have a way more balanced scoring through the roster, something that Calgary lacks. Also, besides Tkachuk, I don't really find that Calgary have a true sniper, where Winnipeg have multiple. So I think Winnipeg will be able to edge out the Calgary Flames in a 3-1 fashion. Moving on to the next matchup, the 6th seed Nashville Predators face off against the 11th seed Arizona Coyotes. Now, this could definitely be a matchup worth looking at. Nashville, a team that definitely did not look as good as they could have in this season. They didn't look very good. Their offense really struggled. Besides Forsberg, I don't trust this offense and to do much. If Eriksson comes on hot, I think they could have a better chance. But playing against this stellar Arizona Coyotes defense with a coming-on goaltender in Darcy Kuemper, I honestly don't trust Nashville to put up that many goals against Arizona. So it's really going to come down to a defensive battle and who I think can score more goals at the end of the day. If we're talking about that, I am picking the Arizona Coyotes to do the upset. As far as a goaltending standpoint goes, I was expecting for Nashville to have the huge advantage, Pekka Rinne versus Darcy Kuemper on Arizona's side, but Darcy Kuemper having a great year, Pekka Rinne not having that great of a year. I really do trust these goalies to go head-to-head, and I think Darcy Kuemper will find a way to get the better half of Rinne in the majority of scenarios. So, who do I trust to score more at the end of the day against these two stellar defenses? I'm picking Arizona to barely edge out the Predators 3-2. Moving on to the third matchup in the qualifying rounds of the Western Conference, we have the 5th seed Edmonton Oilers facing off against the 12th seed Chicago Blackhawks. I watched the game last night, Edmonton versus Calgary, and Edmonton looked great, winning in a 4-1 fashion. Edmonton scoring and their power play really drove that game for them. And without a doubt, the main thing that I like when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers in this playoff is their special teams. Coming second in penalty kill and first in power play, they have looked absolutely stellar when either team finds themselves in the penalty box. They have came out on top, which has allowed them to be really good in the season. They have an incredible top 3 punch in Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, and McDavid. I really do trust these three to sort of run rapid around this Chicago Blackhawks defense that hasn't been too good this year. However, as far as an offensive standpoint goes, don't be surprised if the Blackhawks actually find a way to keep up with Edmonton. There's still a lot of good pots on this Chicago Blackhawks offense that could find a way to beat Edmonton. Plus, experience could definitely factor in. From a defensive standpoint goes, I think Chicago do definitely have the better half of Edmonton, but if Edmonton can find a way to score through that Chicago offense and goaltending in Corey Crawford, I think Edmonton will not really find that Chicago defense much of an issue. With that being said, plus me preferring Koskinen 1,000 times over Corey Crawford, I will pick the Edmonton Oilers to win this matchup 3-1. Moving on to the final match in the qualifying rounds for the Western Conference, the Vancouver Canucks 7th seed face off against the Minnesota Wild 10th seed. This is going to be a really close matchup, with Minnesota not having the best of years and Vancouver coming on really strong with their nice young core. I think this could be a really good matchup. One thing I definitely do find astray for the Vancouver Canucks is experience. Where Minnesota have been in the playoffs the last couple of years now, they know how it works, they know how to get it done for the most part. With the Vancouver Canucks, this is their first time in the playoffs for a while now. Their core is very, very, very young. Bozer, Jack Quinn, Peterson, a lot of these players have not experience what it's like to do or die in a playoff scenario. And I think that could definitely factor in them not going very far in this playoffs. With that being said, I think Vancouver will find a way to edge out Minnesota. As far as a goaltending standpoint goes, I prefer Markstrom to Dubnyk, somebody who is definitely on the decline age-wise, and it shows in his play. He looks old, he doesn't look very fast out there, his reflexes could definitely use some work. I think Markstrom will definitely find a way to outclass Dubnyk. And if I was Minnesota, definitely look for a goaltending replacement this offseason. As far as a defensive standpoint goes, I think Vancouver will find a way to at least keep up with Minnesota. With that being said, on a defensive spectrum, I definitely prefer the Wild. Offensively though, I definitely prefer Vancouver 10-1, despite a lot of these players not having experience in the playoffs, and I am definitely worried about the pressure potentially getting to some of these younger players. I definitely do trust in this talented Vancouver offense to outclass this Minnesota Wild offense, which is underwhelming, to be nice about it. I have the Vancouver Canucks winning the series 3-1, which will leave the seeds in the Western Conference being first seed St. Louis, second seed Colorado, third seed Vegas, fourth seed Dallas, fifth seed Edmonton, sixth seed Vancouver, seventh seed Winnipeg, and eighth seed Arizona. Thank you everybody for watching my predictions for the first round of the 2020 NHL Draft and the round robin. If you like this video, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button if you really liked it. This is my first video I've ever made without braces. Please smash the like button to congratulate me. If we can reach 20 likes on this video, I would really appreciate it, guys. Thank you, and I will see everybody in the next video where I will be predicting the second round of the 2020 NHL playoffs. Thank you. Have a good day. And enjoy hockey. Go Leafs, go.